Hello and welcome back to the Wasatch Moto Overland YouTube channel. In this video we're going to show you how to build a custom move bumper for your 2001 to 2004 Sequoia. I purchased the 05 to 07 model from Move as that's the only one they sell, and in this video I'm going to show you how to modify that to work on your 2001 to 2004. If you'd like the build video on your 05 to 07, check out my channel and you'll see that there as well. So the first thing we need to do here is we're going to use a string as a guide to trim this little trim piece that goes under the headlights. And the reason we need to do this is because, as you can see, that little trim piece drops down and it would interfere with how the bumper would fit. So we're going to just attach this string. We're going to cut that little bottom piece off so that it's totally straight and the bumper can be straight all the way across the front bumper and down the sides as well. Being as my Sequoia has a 2-inch body lift, I'm using a plasma cutter to trim these holes, and you'll see why here in just a second. Euro cut, baby. $150. Cuts through some super thick stuff really easy. 110 volts. Love that machine. Alright, so this is where we're at. So we've got this centerpiece ratchet strapped up. We got that cut straight with our string as you saw in the video. But basically, this bolt was not utilized. It's a 17mm bolt you might have laying around if you've got a Toyota. So I just have a 14 and then a 17 there. And what I did, as you saw in the video, is I extended these holes with my plasma cutter. So once this is fitted and everything looks good, I think what I'll do is build 2 plates here and then do a big bolt in the center, or maybe even 2. And then I might actually do some gussets here and actually utilize that hole, but I'll show that when I figure it out. So this is just kind of ratchet strapped in place. We've got it to where these are leveled to where they're going to be, they look good up here. And then what we're going to do is just tack here where we want it. Make sure that this piece is centered because everything else is going to be built around this. So I'm going to go ahead and tack these. So for these pieces right here, this was for the 05 to 07. It would go like this. However, I'm going to be using these pieces of metal right here that I have traced out. The angle is perfect. So this piece, this corner will be right here, and it'll come all the way down behind this little trim piece. Same on this side. So that's how we're going to fill in those 2 things there and there. So we're going to take this thing off, get all of our joints welded up solid front and back, and then show you where we're at. Alright, so what I'm going to be using here is a 36 grit disc. You just use it on a regular grinder with one of these little grabby things. And this will really knock down those welds fast. A little trick in the construction trade is just locking that in place. You don't really have to use that special tool. I've never had one of these come off using this method. But notice how quickly this will take these welds down. Well, here's where we're at, folks. So I had some pretty crappy welds. They were very beefy, but they just didn't look good because I didn't have access to my buddy Tanner's welding skills. So this was the end result. I ended up using these. You can get them at Harbor Freight. I picked up like 4 80 grits. They're like $3 a piece, and 4 of the 37 grits. And the 37s will knock this down. It still took some time, but it'll make quick work of it. I think I probably only spent maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour on grinding these down. So that's kind of where we are at. I had to lower this winch bracket. The winch bracket typically will be above these holes, but because I'm using the Apex, it's a pretty large winch, so I had to lower this. So these holes won't really be used per se, but it doesn't really matter. And then the other thing I had to do, because of the winch sizing, this fairlead hole used to be up here, but I actually used my plasma cutter, which I am so glad that I bought for $150. This is like really thick steel, probably close to a 1/4 inch of steel, and that $150 plasma cutter cut through it like it was butter. So I cut this out, and then I used that piece and put it up here, welded it in place, and then grinded it flush, and then I redid my holes with the plasma cutter as well. And what's awesome is even holes, you can hold the plasma cutter on a piece of metal that's 1/4 inch thick, and it'll take a second or two, but it'll blow through it, and then you can make a, you know, larger than a 1/2 inch hole. So highly recommend the Hero Cut plasma cutter. I'll leave that in the description, as well as my little 110 arc, my 110 Lincoln welder in the description as well, in case you're thinking about purchasing a welder. So anyways, we go with the 36 grit to get all of the welds down. Then I went back over with these 80 grit. That's where I'm at currently. I'm gonna go over everything with the 80 grit, except for obviously the spots that weren't touched. Once we're done with the 80 grit, we're actually going to take our sander with 80 grit sandpaper, and we're going to go over the whole thing, and that gives the powder coating company a good base. If you just tried to spray it on this smooth, it probably wouldn't grab. It'll grab on this, but you can still feel like some of the just waviness, so the sander will take it all out and make it nice and smooth. And yeah, that's kind of where we are at. It's gonna look really good. I'm super excited. So if you are thinking about building one of these for your 01 to 04, basically all that needs to be done is, as you saw in the video, we cut that trim piece completely straight, and then we just made these little triangles. You could cut that out with a grinder if you don't have a plasma cutter. Just weld it in, grind the seams, and that's pretty much the only difference. I'll probably end the video here, and then we will send this off to the powder coater, and on the next video we'll show you it mounted with our winch hooked up and hopefully give it some overlanding action. So be sure and hit that subscribe button, make sure and stay tuned for the next videos, and thank you again for watching. We'll catch you all on the next one. Later.